Hey guys, this is Christine, your relationship and mindset master doctor, and your leverage for change. So today I want to come to speak to you about how we inadvertently teach our children to have poor boundaries. And I'm sure that most of us by now know that when someone has poor boundaries, it causes them to suffer a lot, especially later in life when they're on their own, because they're now making choices based off of what they learned as children, right? How they were handled as children, what they were taught as children, to really know, you know, how they behave and how they respond in life to boundaries, to people asking them to do things, to all sorts of different things. So it's very important, guys, that we pay attention and really come to terms with how we may inadvertently be teaching our children to have poor boundaries. One of the innocent ways, before I start, guys, please help me to build my channel by liking this video and by also sharing it with someone, because I know this information, I'm sure it's going to be valuable for a lot of people, even if they're not, if they don't have children, or if they're now planning to have children, they're a young family planning to have children, and now to kind of understand what it is and how it is that poor boundaries can be formed without really realizing it. We're thinking we're doing, or we are teaching our kids, certain things, but what we're teaching them is to have poor boundaries. So guys, please like this video again for me. Everybody watching it, please like it for me and share it, and also subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so that as soon as I upload another video, you will be notified and you won't miss out on anything. So let's address this question. How do we teach our children to inadvertently have poor boundaries, and as they grow up, they act out of that subconscious behavior that they were taught when they were kids? So one very innocent way, guys, is, and I know growing up, it was something that my parents did. And I'm sure I may have even done it to my children, because that's what I learned and didn't recognize it until, where I am now, that it could have been creating poor boundaries. But thank God, maybe I didn't do it enough to make my kids not have poor boundaries, because they both have very good boundaries. However, I would love to be able to help anyone starting this journey with small children to recognize that we do these things without really knowing it, because we learned it from our parents. We see it in society, and we believe it's okay and it's good, right? And I'm not saying that there are certain things that you shouldn't do, but you also have to have this discernment, right? And allow your children. They are very good at discerning things that are not good for them, guys. They're pretty good. A lot of kids are really good at discerning things that they're uncomfortable with. So you have to also listen and pay attention to your children and how they respond to certain people or certain situations or certain things, and not force them to do this because it's polite or it's good. It makes you a good person or a good child or a good whatever it might be, right? Yes, you have to teach your kids boundaries in and of your own, in training them into becoming a good and decent human being. But there are ideas that we give and things that we ask our kids to do that are inadvertently teaching them to have poor boundaries. And the first one, guys, is that I can think of, which is just a simple example. An uncle or an aunt comes over, or a friend, comes over, and say it's a male friend. And you have a little daughter, or a son for that matter, right? A little child. And they don't want to go to this, they don't want to go over there. Oh, go and kiss uncle thing, go and hug uncle thing, auntie thing, go and kiss them, or, whatever it might be. Go to them and hug them, or whatever it might be, right? and you're kind of like forcing your child to go to a person that they're not uncomfortable with. Now, we don't know for sure why that child is uncomfortable with this person, and it's not always bad. It's just that sometimes some kids are a little shy, but that means that if that kid is shy and you're forcing them to do something that they're not comfortable with, it's going to cause a little bit of a trauma for them, guys. So don't do it. Allow your kids, if they and I know they will, if they really enjoy this person and they know this person, they will automatically go to this person. But don't force them to go hug or take this thing to this person, and you see that they're something is not right. They're hesitant. Say, for example, uncle is in his room, and you say, take this up to uncle, and you see the child is going like looking very afraid or something, or take this thing to auntie or whatever it means that something isn't right, guys? I mean, you have to be careful and watch why your children, notice why your children may be uncomfortable around certain individuals, right? It could be that in the privacy of in some corner of the house or something, that uncle may be abusing that child. This happens a lot, especially when it's close family members and close friends. They can abuse your kids and you don't know, and they might threaten the child with saying, if you say this to mommy or daddy or whatever it is, this is going to happen. And so that poor little child now feels the responsibility of not acting any way, but you'll notice that they're very withdrawn around these individuals. This is a way, guys, that you're forcing little kids and teaching them to be to accept whatever it is you say, and to create boundaries, and to allow people in around them that will harm them, And so as they grow older and they're now adults, they now believe that they should stay in relationships where they are hurt consistently, but because you should maintain that, allow people to hurt you, that kind of thing. It causes a lot of problems for kids as they grow up to be adults. All right, guys, so be very careful about that. And what are some of the ways that we put our kids, how, in adult relationships, what are some of the behaviors that you see that from kids, or who are, from adults who were, shown these things as kids or expected to behave in certain ways as children? They now act from that subconscious way of behaving, and now they enter into relationships that are either toxic for them because they believe that having boundaries is not really, they know nothing about having boundaries. So they were never taught to have boundaries. They didn't understand what boundaries are, and so they allow people to come they go into relationships that make them feel bad about themselves. They accept relationships that make them feel bad about themselves. They stay and remain in relationships that makes them feel bad about themselves because they think, they never learned to create boundaries. The other thing is that a lot of times when these people are hurt, as children, they kind of almost blame themselves. So they grow up with a feeling of self-blame and also shame around what happened or what took place or what they allowed, what they believe they allowed. But as children, they had no power. Now as adults, they still believe they have no power. And so they stay in relationships, and even though they know it's wrong for them, it's hurting them, they feel the shame around it because they feel almost powerless to really change that, because it's just the way they know how to behave in life. That's what they learned. All right, guys? So you have to be very careful about what you're setting your kids up for. The other thing is that when you notice people who are giving beyond their capacity to give, they may have their last dollar and somebody asks them for it and they'll give it to them even though they know they need that dollar to buy food. And I'm not saying you should not be kind, but you should not feel that you have to give your last cent or your last dollar to someone just because they ask. They may not even need it as much as you do, but because you've learned not to create or have any boundaries, you basically cannot say no to anyone. That is one of the biggest things, is that you basically cannot say no to anyone. And so what that results in, guys, is that you feel anxious all the time. you're constantly overwhelmed. You have this feeling of overwhelm all the time because you are living everybody else's life but your own. You are living everybody else's life but your own because you're always pleasing. People pleasing that's one of the things that someone with no boundaries, you see them doing. They're always pleasing others to the extent that they abandon themselves and their own needs. So they're always going outside of themselves because in a way they're getting something from it, but it's really short-lived because they do something for someone and people will take advantage of you when you allow them, guys. They do something for someone and they get this feeling of being liked and loved and being thought of as the person who you can go to for anything. This person's always there for me. This person, but then you feel like you don't even know who you are because now you're living everybody else's life, doing everything for everybody else. You don't even know what you like, what your likes are, what your dislikes are, because you pretty much don't have a life of your own. You're pretty much living your life through other people who dictate how you should feel by what they do to you. And you also feel that when you do something, and you are afraid to hurt people. You feel that if you say no, you're going to hurt someone, right? Because you just feel that you're responsible for how others feel. Abandoning yourself. This is particularly relevant for the anxious, preoccupied individual. This is someone who just people pleases and they think that, and also to an extent the fearful, avoidant, attached individual as well. That you just feel you have to work for whatever love you get or for whatever accolades you get or for whatever kind of someone giving something to you in a way to make you feel good. It makes you feel good, but at the same time, it makes you feel horrible because you feel you have no control over your life. You feel you're living your life through others. You're not living your own life. You don't know what your needs are. You have needs, but you're not attending to those needs. So you have this constant feeling of overwhelm and anxiety, and you feel constantly out of control because you are not in control of your own life. Everything in your life is going to hell and in a handbasket, and you're solving the problem for everybody else. You're the fixer, you're the people pleaser, you're the doer, you're the person who stands there, is there for everybody but yourself. All right? The next thing is that you of course you're going to feel burdened by everybody else's problem because they're always going to come and dump their problems on you because you allow it. You have no boundaries. They dump their problems on you, right? And you take on more responsibilities that you can manage. You are always, and so that feeling of constant overwhelm. But now, after a while, guys, when this comes, there's a time when it comes to a point where you just feel so angry. So now the problem is that you're angry and you feel resentful, but you may not take it out on those people who are taking advantage of you. You may now go and take it out on your loved ones, those closest to you. So your partner, your spouse, your children, right? Your parents. And so if it's not them that's doing it to you, it's, you're just doing that for others, like your work, your co-workers, your boss, your friends, then you are going to be taking out that aggression that you are holding inside because you feel like everybody's just using you. You're taking out that aggression on others that you love, that are close to you, because those are the ones that, they just get everything. That it's, you just take everything out. That's how we are, unfortunately. Right? Because we don't want to hurt anybody else, and we want them to see us as a good person, a kind person, a person who's always there for them. But we don't really, because our loved ones know us intimately, they know exactly who we are. And so they don't have to hide anything, so they'll just take it out on you, take it out on your close family members or friends. And this is specifically, especially your spouse and your children. These are the people that usually get the worst of it because they're there every single day with you, right? And they see everything that's happening, right? So, of course, guys, these are some of the things that you have to watch out for when, and these are some of the reasons why you have to be very careful to show your children and allow your children to make choices on their own. When they're uncomfortable, don't force them to do things that they don't feel comfortable doing. If you see that they're fearful or not going to certain people or doing certain things, don't force them, guys. None of us like to be forced. Yes, there are things that we that we have to overcome the fear, but you have to be with them. Say, for example, you're teaching your child, you want your child to learn to swim, which is good for them, right? A thing that's good in case they go into to swim and they drown and they can't swim, right? So it's a good tool to learn. So you're there for them, always comforting them, right? So when they do the thing first, then you're there. They know you're there for them. But when it comes to do with going to other people, doing things for other people, and you see that they're fearful of it, I think you need to be very discerning and watch and pay attention to why it is that your child or anyone else for that matter, but I'm mentioning children because this is when it starts. That is when it starts, and it's further cemented as they grow into adults. Okay, guys, so I hope you learned something. Please remember to like and share my video, and also subscribe and hit that notification bell in case so that others can also see this. And guys, I also work with individuals who are stuck in traumatic event, in relationships. Breakup in relationships are traumatic, right? They can be very traumatic if you never learned how to go through this process of healing. And so I work with individuals like this. I work to help change attachment styles. I work with you through any kind of life problem. So guys, if please email me. My contact information is in the description below this video. Please reach out to me, and I'm here to help you. All right, this is Christine, your relationship and mindset master doctor, and your leverage for change. Guys, never, never, never stop growing. Take care now. Bye.